Hello everyone, John McCracken here, also known as the Lone Biker. I have very kindly been donated some products from Redshift Sports to try out and review, and the two I'm going to have a wee initial ride on today is the Shock Stop Suspension Stem and the Shock Stop Suspension Seatpost Pro. So let's take a look at them on the bike. So here's the stem. It was really easy to fit, easy to fit as any other stem. It's got a few mils of travel just to take the harsh bumps out of the gravel, and here is the seat post, which is nice. Again, easy to fit, and it was actually really easy to put the saddle on. So here's a wee look. Let's head out on the bike and we'll have another wee chat on the trails. So here we are out in the wild. First 5 miles done, mostly tarmac, but I would say so far what's quite nice is it takes the bumps and the rough out of Britain's amazingly poor road surfaces. So just a wee pause there to have a wee look. Going well so far. We'll go and find some gravel and see how we do after that on my new full suspension gravel bike. So, done a couple of gravel trails. I am in the middle of Lanfine Estate, which has got some nice trails in it in Ayrshire. Probably better for your mountain bike, some of the other trails, but lots of good gravel paths to test this out. So I've had a wee bit in the road, a wee bit in the gravel, and I would say so far what I'm liking is when I was on gravel climbs, you can lose your cadence because you're bouncing up and down, especially in the rear end of the bike, but the seat post really takes that out, and I can imagine in some of the gravel races that really helps. Now, what I would say is on the road, I'm aware of the suspension front and back. It's great if you hit some of Britain's crap roads, as I mentioned earlier, but I'd say as soon as you hit the gravel, you don't notice it, other than it feels nice and smooth. You've got less of that thing you get in gravel, even with big tyres, where the bigger rocks are kind of bouncing you about the place. So that for me is an advantage. That thing on the climbs, I was cycling up a climb that I'll maybe go for a com on it the next time in Strava, because I think I'm sitting second in that route, and quite often you're bounced up and down all the time, so that maybe allowed me to keep my cadence. And I'm looking forward to the more endurance races where there's lots of climbs, lots of downhills, that it can sap your energy over those 90, 100 kilometre distances in gravel, that it really makes your body feel less tired. So quite impressed so far. I'll just give you a wee close-up look in the wild. That is one of the mountain bike trails, which I might do. Well, there's more gravel path heading that way. Either way, I'm pretty confident. I would be confident that my kinesis could handle these trails anyway, but even more confident with that plushness put in the Redshift suspension systems bring to the ride. Just stopped here in the corner in Darvel, perhaps apt. It's the birthplace of Alexander Fleming, discoverer of penicillin, so a great place for innovation. So here we are, finished the ride, I'm all cleaned up, and so is the bike. So just thought I'd show you a couple of the wee features. One I really like with the seat post is what Redshift are calling the fender, a wee magnetic thing here, which is great if you consider the vast majority of muck and crap from gravel will end up in there. It's a great wee thing, just a wee magnetic bit. Just clicks in there, stops the muck getting in there, and when you are maybe adjusting your seat post, magnet clips onto anything, which is great. Now the seat post I thought was going to be quite tricky, but if you can just look up in there, quite easy access into the Allen key bolts that hold the seat in place, and then that just clicks into place. So I quite like that, that's nice. The Kinesis that I have this on doesn't, the frame that fits me never leaves a huge amount of seat post anyway. So luckily it all fits within the range for me. And then we have the stem up here. Now the stem doesn't move that much at all. You can feel it working, but you can change how responsive it is. It's got room for 2 wee grommets inside, and you can change obviously the kind of travel or responsiveness. I liked it the way it was, so I'm not going to be changing these anytime soon, but if you check on Redshift's website, they actually are really easy to change over. It comes with a wee torque wrench Allen key as well to change it, and there's no need to remove any part of this. It's all done in here, so that's actually quite an easy change if that's something you want to do. So I suppose one of the big questions is what these are for. Probably like a lot of gravel riders, I also like a bit of mountain biking, but most of my riding these days is gravel, and even the hardtail mountain bike is overkill. But there are times when you're on the gravel and you do miss that front suspension. So I can see where the front end and the stem shock will maybe just take a bit of bump out of that. Certainly when you've done a big race, 90 to 200 kilometres on gravel, it can take a lot out of you in the upper body, so maybe just that will reduce that tiredness ever so slightly. Essentially what we've made here is a full suspension gravel bike, but it is very short. The back is 20mm and the front it's 10-20mm as well, so it's not much. It's not quite as dramatic as when I had my full suspension mountain bike. Nevertheless, I think it does the job of just ironing out the bumps. As I said earlier, what I quite liked was when I was climbing a long, slower incline in the saddle, it was taking that bump out the rear, which allowed me to keep my cadence quite high, which was good. And I liked how I didn't even notice it working when it was on the gravel, and it really was making things smoother. So I was going to go a wee bit further this morning, but I had a slow puncture in the rear, sealant not quite doing its job in the tubeless. But initial impressions, I quite like it. I like to do a longer gravel ride on it, just to get the full benefit of it on the gravel. What I was thinking though, one of my least favourite things in the biking world are hybrid bikes, because I always think they're the worst of both worlds. The worst are road bikes with the worst of mountain bikes. If you're looking for that wee bit of just give in the front end, then that's what I would say the stem would be great for. A good quality, maybe flat bar road bike or all road bike, and instead of paying for crap, heavy forks, suspension forks, one of these would be perfect. Just takes that wee bit of shock out your wrists, especially in Britain's roads. Can't speak for the rest of the world. But yeah, that's what I would advise for that for. The seat post, I think I'll need to test it more on the gravel, but anything that I did do that was rough today, it just smoothed that out as well. Still going to be out my saddle on steeper inclines, I think, or just putting the power down, but I did feel that I could keep my cadence up. So far impressed, and that's just an initial review, so I will be back with probably a longer review of my experiences with it when I've ridden some more gravel on it. So that's my review so far, just an initial one of Redshift's shock stop suspension and the shock stop Seatpost suspension pro. So hope you enjoyed that. Pop any questions you've got, I'll see if I can answer them below, and I hope you enjoyed. Cheers.